What is up, my YouTube fam? It is DJ Domineer. Come back at you again today with another reaction video on Jake Paul reacts to Andrew Tate calling him out to fight. And if you haven't seen part 1 yet, you might want to go check that out real quick. I mean, you don't have to understand part 1, but if you haven't watched part 1, you should. Anyway, let's cue that intro right now. Ooh.
Jake Paul recently responded to Andrew Tate after he called him out for a boxing fight. Oh boy, guys, this is gonna be good. Tate, who is a reality TV star and former kickboxing champion, recently shot to viral fame on social media. That's no exaggeration. This man has been popping up all over TikTok, YouTube, and basically every other social media platform. And it seems he's been using his newfound fame to call out Jake Paul to a boxing match. In a recent interview, Tate said that he would be willing to pay $3 million to make the fight happen.
Odds are big. Stakes are high, guys. Stakes are high.
He even went as far as to say that he thinks he could beat Paul, despite admitting that the YouTube star is much tougher than most people give him credit for. I mean, check out this insane clip of Andrew Tate where he...
I don't know why you wouldn't think he is tough. I mean, look at him training.
...is much tougher than most people give him credit for. I mean, check out this insane clip of Andrew Tate where he calls out Jake Paul.
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. You know what? If I made my money impressing 4-year-olds on YouTube and managed to somehow become a multimillionaire from it, I'd probably live in a dream world too. But let me explain something to you about combat sports. There are a whole bunch of men out here who will never be as famous as you, will never make the money you've made, who would kick the living fuck out of you. This is the hardest sport in the world, and people dedicate their lives to this, and most of them never get a payday. It never pays off for the majority of fighters, all of which would fuck you up.
I mean, he's not entirely wrong, but also he's very right about the fact that boxing is definitely the hardest sport, like, ever, anywhere, ever created. And wrestling probably is too, so. But boxing, wrestling, kind of the same type of deal. Just boxing, you only use hands, and wrestling is, like, use your whole body, like, straight up. But there is probably a little bit of wrestling in boxing, low-key.
I made a little bit of money. I don't have $50 million to bet with you, but I do have $3 million to bet with you. So this is your offer. $3 million.
Can't turn down that offer, guys, you know?
You put 3, I put 3. Winner takes all. I'm 5 years out the ring. I'm a kickboxer. You're 2-0 in boxing.
Ooh, $6 million. Stakes are very high here, guys. And also that Ferrari in the background. Yeah, stakes are very high.
I'm 0-0 in boxing. I've never even fought boxing. I'm a retired old man. 5 years I've been sitting around smoking cigars and fucking bitches, which are better looking than the fucking girl you're advertising anyway. I will fight you any day of the fucking week. Why don't you lose to an old man who's retired?
Sounds like Rocky Balboa, almost like a Rocky Balboa type thing, you know?
I live in the real fucking world, Jake. There's a whole bunch of fighters out here who live in the real fucking world. Men who are dangerous and dedicated their lives to this sport and don't have a fucking fraction of the money you have because you managed to become a fucking clown. The biggest clown on the fucking internet. If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life. You know my name, Andrew Tate. Fucking Google it if you want to know more. Any day, anytime, let's fucking go.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's you know, if someone did that to me, and I was Jake Paul in his shoes, I'd be like, okay, bet, let's get it.
This man has no chill. He quite
no siree, Bob. Some people like that.
Literally called out Jake Paul, said he would absolutely demolish and humble him, and said he'd be willing to pay $3 million to make the fight happen.
Like I said, you have to take it. I mean, that's how fights work. That's how young Sheldon taught me.
But when asked about Tate during a recent press conference, Paul seemed to have no idea who he was. Watch this.
Did you ever consider Andrew Tate as an opponent?
Next question.
Next question. Andrew Tate.
Next question.
The fact that they think he's a kid, and then he said he's an old man. He's a fully grown adult, guys. Or interviewers.
There's no question that Jake Paul is absolutely dodging the question here. I mean, come on. Everyone...
He's totally dodging the question, and they both train, like, really hard, so now I feel like it's a matter of, like, winner takes all, pretty much, if that makes sense.
Everyone knows who Andrew Tate is. He's only been blowing up the internet for the past few months. But to be fair to Jake Paul, it's entirely possible that he really doesn't know who Andrew Tate is.
Are you sure about that?
After all, Paul is a YouTuber turned boxer who has only fought smaller opponents. It's not like he's keeping...
I mean, he did fight Conor McGregor, so I'm not a boxing expert, but I heard about it through online.
Tabs on every single kickboxer in the world. So there you have it. Jake Paul has responded to Andrew Tate after he called him out for a boxing match. By the looks of it, he's dodging Andrew Tate extremely hard, and definitely doesn't want to go head-to-head with a professional kickboxer in his prime who's 6'3" with a massive reach. That's not the only explanation.
I probably would just say, you know what? I'm gonna answer the question because that's just how I am. I'm honest. This is how that's how I live life. You know.
Though, Tate is currently on the path to superstardom and becoming a mainstream celebrity. At the moment, he has millions and millions of social media followers and fans from all over the world, and he's only rising in fame. But if Paul were to fully commit to fighting Andrew Tate and ultimately win, it would be a total disaster for Tate. Andrew Tate's fans would probably immediately flip on him and call him all sorts of names. Well,
because that's just what people do these days, and they've probably always done that, low-key.
While Paul's fan base would continue to grow by the hundreds of thousands. With that being said, the same thing could happen to Jake Paul if he were to lose. Tate's fans would continue to love him, while Paul's fan base would absolutely abandon him and call him all sorts of names. At the end of the day, though, it seems like Andrew Tate
Stakes are pretty high. Everything's on the line.
Has the upper hand here. Sure, if he were to lose, his fans would probably turn on him and crush his self-esteem for years to come, but he definitely has the confidence, trash talk, and skills to beat Jake Paul.
Oh, the trash talk, that's definitely there. That's a no-brainer.
I mean,
but also another thing that's there is they both know how to train and they both know how to fight, and they've been experienced in fighting. Despite what Andrew Tate said about Logan Paul not being experienced in fighting, I really feel like he kind of does have some experience. I mean, not as much as him, granted, but still, he's fought Conor McGregor and he's fought other opponents, and he's trained very hard, and he knows how to play sports. So that's what I wanted to say about that in regards to that.
check out this insane training footage.
It's like Rocky all over again. I play the Rocky theme song right now, but I don't want to get a copyright strike on my channel.
There's no question that Andrew Tate is absolutely built and in extremely good condition when it comes to his boxing skills and technique.
He doesn't even seem that old, though.
This guy is an extremely tough, skilled fighter that has a huge reach and an incredible amount of power. But there's one thing Tate doesn't seem to realize. He's fighting a YouTube star who has become insanely popular and well-loved by millions of fans from all over the world. There's no question that Jake Paul knows how to fight, but he also knows how to market himself and draw in an audience.
About Jake Paul, firstly, right?
I kind of think they both know how to draw in an audience, but Jake Paul is just a little bit better at it because I feel like he's been in the spotlight for longer. Andrew Tate I kind of just heard of him recently, low-key.
So I challenged Jake Paul. I made a Jake Paul challenge video. It's on YouTube somewhere. It went really big on Twitter because I challenged him because he is a very fortunate young man because he's allowed himself to become the biggest clown on the internet, and now he's famous, right?
I mean, I don't know if Jake Paul's a clown. Jake Paul doesn't seem like a clown to me. I mean, he knows how to market himself, and he knows how to play sports. I mean, but they both know how to play sports. You guys know that already.
He's an idiot, but he has a bunch of money, so he gets to make a bunch of money from fighting. And the reason that upsets me is because most of the real fighters out here know it's a terrible career path. It's extremely difficult to make any money from fighting.
And not only that, you can also die if you get hit hard enough. So that's just how I feel. I feel like he covered everything except, but I'm sure he knows that you can die from fighting if you get hit hard enough. Obviously, that's like a no-brainer. It's a common sense almost.
So much luck involved, so much hard work, so much sweat. You're broke for so long.
Blood, sweat, and tears go into fighting. Well, he is right about it being the hardest career path, or one of the hardest career paths ever.
Most of the guys you watch in the UFC are broke. Like even the guys you can name are broke. It's so hard to get paid in fighting. And he's managed to get right there to the top from the beginning because he was already famous. So the video I made to him was saying, look, you keep insulting the game, but you've jumped in at a certain level because you're lucky. But if you want to fight somebody, he wouldn't fight me because I'm not famous enough for him to lose to. Right. Because I'd smoke him. But I was like, you're going to come out here and talk like a fighter. There's a whole bunch of fighters out there who no one's ever heard of, who have no money, who would whoop your ass. You're not the best. You can go to Dagestan and find some kid who has no cash, who would smoke it. And everybody knows it, right? So that was the video was about. And I said, look, if you want to fight a real fighter, you can fight me because I'm genuinely upset at you.
For this reason, there's definitely a chance that Jake Paul feels the need to perform at all times in order to keep his supporters happy. This is a recipe for disaster when you're fighting a man who is absolutely built and knows how to kick people's asses. Despite the fact that Jake...
Yeah. So Logan Paul or Jake Paul, I don't know. This is going to be an intense fight.
Paul is known to be a bit of a clown and everyone loves to hate him. He's actually a very good fighter.
I think people just like to hate on people because they have no life, okay? That's just how I feel.
He has a strong jab, solid defense skills and technique, and is
I can't hate on people like that. It's bad karma. That's how I feel.
extremely quick for someone who's as tall as he is. I mean, he beat Tyron Woodley for God's sake.
I mean, they both know how to train, so I guess now it boils down to who's going to train the hardest and who's going to hit the hardest and who's going to be able to get the first knockout or the most knockouts.
I mean, he beat Tyron Woodley for God's sake. Woodley is a professional MMA fighter who's been fighting and winning for over 20 years. Despite the fact that there's no question Woodley was past his prime, take a look at
I really feel like this could be like the next Mike Tyson type of fight.
this knockout.
That's probably what's going to happen during a lot. So this here, guys, is probably going to happen a lot on both sides, Andrew Tate and Logan Paul. It's going to happen a lot during their fights. This is literally like a 2 versus 1 fight with all stakes are high and everything is on the line.
Oh boy, I could literally see the shockwave traveling through Woodley's body with that
I saw the sweat coming off his head and it just was like boom, boom.
devastating knockout punch. This man has power and definitely has been working with some of the top trainers in the world. So, while Andrew Tate most likely has the upper hand here and could probably beat Jake Paul, there's no question that he needs to be careful. But you never know what might happen. It's all up in the air at the moment, and both fighters are clearly very skilled and confident.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. He's just reiterating what I was saying pretty much.
Whoever wins this fight will definitely have some serious bragging rights. So we'll just have to wait and see when and if this happens. With how Jake Paul seems to be dodging though, there's a chance this fight won't happen. Only time will tell. Until then, remember to drop a like if you enjoyed the video and leave a comment telling us your opinion on Jake Paul's reaction to Andrew Tate calling him out.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have dodged the question. I would have just been like, you know what? I have heard about that, and yeah, I'll accept his offer. That's what I would say if I was in Jake Paul's shoes. But anyway, guys, that was the video for the day. If you like this type of content, like always, please sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And DJ Domineer signing off.